All right, you brought up Jared Goff, and you wanted to talk about him, and for good reason. I love how he handles himself.
Yes.
I like athletes who let their play do the talking, and Jared Goff has done that. In a year and a world where we can be bitter about a lot of people trying to degrade our accomplishments, he chose the high road. He's been very quick and at times contrite with some of his thoughts following games and even getting ready for games. But he earned a moment last night, and I think all season long, and he deserved to take a bow, I think.
Absolutely. And people don't understand. The hardest thing for a player is to gather his thoughts and speak with some normalcy after a highly competitive game. Mm-hmm. It's hard as crap to go out and talk with some sense because you got so many emotions going through you, especially when you lose. That's why I have so much grace for guys after they lose and they say stupid stuff, because you feel a certain type of way. Like people say, "Oh, sore loser." Yeah, you're right. I'm a sore loser. What, you want me to be happy I lost?
Right.
No, I'm a sore loser. Yes.
Yeah. What would you expect?
Exactly.
I mean, but athletes sometimes are damned if they do, damned if they don't.
Right.
If you're calm and you're cool, where's the emotion? If you're really emotional, boy, you got to be more professional than that, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's funny because somebody was talking about Jared Goff's response and how he leads that locker room, how he leads that team, and and those guys get behind him, And he's not a guy of many words. He's not gonna go on a long tangent but he's an interesting guy, interesting personality. I like his leadership style.
In what way?
I just like you said, I like the calmness about him. I like the fact that he doesn't have to be, but then he'll show you, hey, I can get fired up also.
Look, you've been a leader at the highest level. What does it take to lead other men in a sport full of type A personalities of guys who were leaders in their own right before? In other words, what does it take to get guys to follow?
I think the biggest thing, for me, it was always how hard I competed. Like, I wasn't going to let anybody out-compete me, even in practice or whatever. So guys respected that to a point where they were like, okay, we'll never question you. When Lindsey has something to say, you listen, because the dude, he plays his heart out every single minute. And guys respect that. And it's the same way. When you watch your quarterback go out and he gives it his all every single game, he takes the brunt of everything that went wrong, and he doesn't blame anybody, takes the blame himself, and keeps playing, then that's the guy I want to follow. And that's what you see with the Lions. And I heard people, I'm going back to the after the game, questions or whatever. The contrast was I heard Jared Goff talk about, what happened after the game and his emotions. And then you hear the other quarterback,
Matthew Stafford. You
hear Stafford talk, and people were like, well, he didn't give Detroit any credit. Like, you booed him all night. What you want him to say? If you boo me all night, do you think I'm going to turn around and say anything good about? He didn't say anything negative,
right?
But he didn't say anything. Period.
Yeah, we'll get into that. I do want to
pissed off too.
I know. I do want to talk about that because I think it's important, and I think it is somewhat hypocritical on our point. I do want to ask you this though, and I thought of you as soon as I heard this question to Jared Goff after the game, and it said, there was so much buildup externally for the Lions and for him specifically because he's going up against the Rams, right? Josh Reynolds was going up against the Rams, his old team. Brad Holmes, of course, is going up against the Rams, his old team. But internally, what was it like? And he said, look, we do what we do. How are you able to separate the two? How are you not inclined to use that build up from the external part of your career or of your profession and carry it over into the internal part during the game? How do you separate the two?
Well, I think for him, I know for me, when we were playing against the Lakers, the team I had won a championship with, and we're playing them in the championship, there were emotions that came out like, dude, I want to beat them so bad. So, but you have to go in focused on, hey, this is my job. Like, let me focus on what I have to do. And that's how you kind of compartmentalize it. Like, leave these over here for afterwards. Right now, this is what I have to do. This is what I have to focus on. And if I can do this the best of my ability, then I'll do my part and give my team the best opportunity to win.
How challenging is that? Because for Goff and Stafford, I think
Yes.
for both of them, that had to be a bear to deal with.
Because that's all you heard about until the game.
Yeah.
That banning all Stafford jerseys. We don't want to hear no Detroit Rams. Yeah. You heard this everywhere. And it can tend to get personal because as fans don't have filters.
No.
They don't care.
No.
I heard fans talking about Stafford's wife, and I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah.
It's okay. Talk about me as the player. That's cool. But everything else, hey, that's off limits. Let's keep it between the lines.
Yeah, that was one of the bigger problems that Russell Westbrook had, and rightfully so. I mean, you pay your ticket, there's certain things you can say, but there has to be a limit too.
Right.
Completely understand. And I thought Jared Goff, I'm not saying he was the better quarterback last night, but he was just as good, if not better. And I think Lions fans should really appreciate his accuracy, his calmness,
yes,
his ability to like when that fumble or that loose ball took place. That was the thing that worried me more than anything going in. Was I love aggressiveness. I love quarterbacks going downfield, and I love that they have great confidence in their arm strength and they can fit it in tight windows. And we saw that plenty last night from both quarterbacks. But the turnovers I thought were going to be massive. If somebody's coughing it up with these offenses, it's going to be tough to overcome. He took care of the football, and that was, I thought, the most important statistic he could have had, even more so than his quarterback rating and his touchdown passes.
Yeah, and in the playoffs, turnovers are monumental.
Yeah,
I bet you can look up the stats, and whoever wins the turnover battle normally will win. It takes a lot to overcome that, and there were some games when he was a little loose with the ball. He fumbled it. He had some picks. But you just knew if that pocket's clean like it was, man, he's gonna have every opportunity to make plays.